The following is a local resident producer's program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of CATV2, Oshkosh Community Media Services, the City of Oshkosh, or Time Warner Cable.
Oshkosh, I'm Cheryl Hentz, and very happy to be joined once again by a familiar face here on Eye on Oshkosh. We've got Susan Bach here. Susan is the Regional Director for the Wisconsin Better Business Bureau, and we try and have her on a couple times a year to talk about scams and so forth just before the holidays, which is one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. And then in the summer months we talk about other summer-related scams and Better Business Bureau tips. And so we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. One of the first things is, and we're taping this a week before Thanksgiving, so we wanted to get a jump on the holiday shopping season.
Yes.
Even though this will start airing in 2 weeks, I think, like a week after Thanksgiving, I think, or something like that.
But people shop online until probably
they do.
The week before
they
Christmas.
Already are if they're like me. But so let's I guess maybe that's a good place to start. Why don't we start with online shopping tips?
Sure.
I mean, everybody does it. It's getting more and more to the point where more people are joining in on the online shopping.
I think that more people, there are statistics that say that more people shop online than they do at a brick and mortar store. So we're sort of turning the corner on that. And so it's really important, I think, to talk about, you know, security when you're shopping online. Of course, make sure that you're shopping on a secure site. And so the question is, how do you know it's a secure site? Well, just look at the address bar, the URL address at the top, and make sure that it starts with HTTPS. That S stands for secure socket. So that way, if you enter a credit card number or any kind of personal information, it's going to be encrypted and you know that it's safe. So, but another thing that is, I think, really important to know is make sure that you're shopping at a really legitimate site. Oftentimes, people will create websites, you know, offering like a bargain price on the season's hottest gift, and so you'll go there and you'll enter your credit card information, etc., and you'll never receive the item. And that's because people can really easily create a look-alike website.
Oh, sure.
Steal pictures, logos, whatever, off of those sites. And in this time of year, it's really more prevalent than any other time of year. So you want to make sure that it would be a good idea to check with the Better Business Bureau. Check out that URL address with the Better Business Bureau and make sure that, you know, it is a legitimate site. Or shop at sites that you really know and trust. You know, if you've never heard of the website before, you're definitely going to want to do a little bit more extra research on that website.
Well, and I want to add something to that, Sue, is that, you know, I have gotten, and this is another type of scam, but I have gotten things before from like Bank of America, really any type of credit card, I suppose, has and can do this, but it comes from Bank of America asking for, you know, saying something about my account, blah, 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 and then they want you to click on something. Well, I've always been very curious about those, and if you just put your cursor on it, you don't click on anything, you just put your cursor on it, you can see that it's going somewhere else.
You just hover over that in an email?
Yep.
Yep. That's excellent advice. You just hover over that, and if where they're redirecting you is different than where they say they're redirecting you, that should be a real red flag. Alarm bells should be going off. But
And so I would recommend that people do that with, if they get emails
Yes.
from people that they've typically shopped with, you know, make sure that that email is actually, if you click on the link in that email, that that's actually going to the legitimate site where they've shopped.
Yeah, I think
You know.
those are called phishing attacks, phishing with a PH, and there are all kinds of those emails, fake emails, that circulate this time of year. It could be supposedly your credit card trying to update your address, or it could be FedEx saying that you have a package that they had trouble delivering. So click on this link for the tracking number, or click on this link to get instructions on where to pick up your package. And those are phishing attacks too, because if you click on that link, you might download malware to your computer. So all kinds of imposters.
Explain for people what a malware is, because it's not something like a virus that, you know, can attack your system and mess up your files and so forth, but it puts other things on your computer.
Yeah, there are things called keystroke loggers, where it will record what websites you visit. So like it'll record that you visited your bank, and then it'll record your passwords, account numbers, things like that. So malware is just any kind of bad software or program that a fraudster might put on your computer.
So many things to be worried about.
Absolutely.
You know, and it makes me wonder sometimes why I keep shopping online. But, you know, I've shopped from the same places for years, and so I'm pretty...
Well, it's convenient. You don't have to fight the traffic and the people at the mall and the weather. Yeah.
Yep.
And so many people have free shipping and things like that.
They
so
do.
It's important to really read the fine print, especially when you're shopping online. You'll want to make sure you take note of any return policy that they might have, or their policy when it comes to shipping deadlines, because that will become more and more important as we get closer to Christmas. So make sure that you're going to be able to get that delivered when you want to, and return it if you need to.
Sure. And return policies are, since you mentioned it, that's a good thing to ask even if you're shopping in a brick and mortar store.
Absolutely.
I don't know that they'll be doing it this year, and I'm not putting in a plug for Best Buy, but I'm just using them because that's the one thing that I think of offhand, is the last 2 Christmases, I believe, they've extended their return deadline timeline, because they know that people are buying things in advance. Maybe they're buying things on Black Friday for a Christmas gift. So they'll extend the return policy timeline.
That's great.
Which is a good thing. But, you know, you should ask that anyway, and I think people should ask about restocking fees, because a lot of times if you're buying something and then returning it, they charge a restocking fee. So I think it's good to know that too.
Yeah, and really Wisconsin law does not require that any retailer have a return policy. It's really up to them. Of course, if it's defective or it's not as it was promised or advertised, that's different. But they don't have to. I mean, all sales really are final unless the company decides to have a return policy.
Sure.
So it's always good to ask, and really they should have it posted too.
Yeah. Anything else as far as shopping online that you think people need to be aware of?
I mean, obviously too, make sure that you have up-to-date antivirus software, just to make sure that if you do shop around and you might be shopping on some unfamiliar websites, that you don't accidentally pick up some kind of malware. And then maybe use a credit card, definitely, instead of a debit card. Credit cards will really give you the most protection if something goes wrong, less liability if there is fraud. So people are leery about using credit cards because there's been so many data breaches and things like that, but it really is the safest way to go, whether you're shopping online or in the store or anything. So.
Right. Well, the next thing on the list here is credit cards, which we've already sort of started to get into.
Yeah.
And most of the credit cards now are having these smart chips. It looks like there's something all cut up in there. That's the best way I can really describe it. And it
kind of looks like a puzzle piece almost.
Yeah. And now, is there some law that requires anyone who issues a card or a debit card that they do this, or is this just something that they're all doing to help? against defrauding?
They're phasing them in gradually, but in October, there was a shift in liability. There's a real incentive for merchants to update their processing equipment because there was a shift in liability in October. So if there is fraud with a credit card, it used to be that, you know, the credit card person wasn't responsible. The liability was on the retailer, or I'm sorry, on the issuer, the credit card issuer. But now we've got all these technology and these new rules and regulations. So starting in October, the shift is going to be either the credit card issuer or the merchant, whichever is less compliant with the new technology. So if the consumer is using a smart chip card, it will fall to the retailer. So that's a real incentive now for the retailer to update their credit card payment processing system so that they are not liable for any fraud.
You know, I tried. I just got back from vacation like 2 weeks ago. And the week before I went, I tried to use my debit card to pay for something. And it has the new chip on it. And it was so frustrating because she said, oh, well, you know, we have to do this. I mean, you can't just slide it through anymore with this chip. And so I had to, I can't even remember now what it was. I was so damn frustrated by the whole thing.
You have to insert it into a dipping machine?
Yeah, and then I had to, it says enter your PIN number. Well, I wasn't processing it as a debit. I was processing it as a charge. And so the people at the shop didn't know how to do this. And she said, oh, well, you know, try it again 4 times.
Really?
And it was nuts. I mean, it really was. They finally got it figured out. So, but I was their guinea pig. and so now they know. But, I mean, is this typical that you have that many problems while people are kind of getting used to this new thing?
Well, it's really new. I mean, a lot of people aren't necessarily even compliant with it. I have yet to have inserted my card into one of those dipping machines. A lot of people don't.
I can tell you all about it.
I don't even think that everybody, you know, has a smart card. There's going to be a lot of growing pains, and I think, you know, for the time being, there's going to be, you know, either or. So some machines will take the magnetic strip, some won't. Some you have to sign, some you have to enter a PIN number. There's definitely a lot of growing pains. But in the end, you know, when we're all used to it and everybody has the right hardware to process them, they're going to be more secure. So we'll all be safer using our credit cards. So that's a good thing. Until
the bad guys find a way to beat that out. It's just nuts. You know, since the last time you were here in summer, I have to say, I had never been hit with anything.
Really?
In all the years I've done online shopping. And this actually didn't come from online shopping, to the best of my knowledge. But I had several charges that my credit union, you know, their fraud department contacted me and said, you know, are these charges, they seem out of character for you, and they're all out of town. Are these legitimate? And I said, no, that one's not, that one's not, that one's not, and yes, that one is. I just came from there having dinner. So it was kind of interesting because all of a sudden, a week or 2 later, we're out to dinner on a Friday night, and I go to use the card to pay for something, and they said, sorry, it's declined. Well, what happened is the fraud company still let one of those charges that they asked me about, they let one of those through. And it wiped out my account.
Oh, no.
And the same thing happened to my partner. Same kind of thing. And it was within like a 2-week period. And, I mean, they were great at putting everything back, but we had to race over to the credit union, fill out the forms, and then they put the money right back while they investigated it. But, I mean, it's just crazy. And,
it is.
And they said, listen, it doesn't have to come from online shopping. People, if you're in the grocery store paying for something or in some other store, if there's someone sitting out with this particular type of equipment and a program,
scanner,
whatever it's called, out in the parking lot, they can get information from someone who's buying something in a store, or they can walk by you on the street and get things. You know, you have to keep your cards in, like, either wrap them in aluminum foil, or in one of these things that you see advertised on TV.
Yeah, those are called radio frequency ID technology. And so if you have one of those scanners, you could walk around the mall and collect all the information that's on that magnetic strip of someone's credit card.
So you don't even have to be using it.
No, and then so then the thief will go back and make a duplicate of that card, you know, copying everything onto a different magnetic strip and then start spending.
And I think that's how this happened to us.
Okay.
Because they were from places that we've never been. One was actually in Istanbul, but that was a couple years ago. You know, and that wasn't one of my cards, but yeah, it's weird.
Was it a chip card, or did it have a magnetic
Oh,
strip?
that one from a few years ago? No, that wasn't a chip.
It had a magnetic strip.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so the chip cards will keep that from happening because the radio frequency, you know, scanners, it won't matter. See,
okay.
We should talk about how chip cards are different. So what's inside that little chip, that microprocessor chip, is software that generates a new transaction number every time you use it. So somebody might be able to duplicate the number on your card, but they'd never be able to use it again because every transaction has a different account number. So it's going to stop somebody from taking that number and making a duplicate card.
So the strip on the back of my card right here, even though there's a chip on the front, this strip really is of no value?
Well, you have a hybrid card because...
Oh, gee, thanks.
Because not everybody is compliant with that new technology.
Okay, let me try finding another one here.
You should turn that credit card over too, so nobody can see it.
I don't have chips yet on these, but I have two cards with chips here, and they're both hybrids. So I guess you know.
So in other words, you can use it you can dip your card into a retailer that has got all the up-to-date, new smart chip technology, but you can also use it at another retailer who isn't quite up-to-date with the new technology and they still have the swipe.
Okay, so the hybrids will have a strip and a chip.
Yep.
But the real McCoy, when they finally get advanced enough to have them, they won't have any strip on the back. They'll just have the chip.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we'll be safer.
Okay.
Now, it's not going to help us. So it keeps somebody from making a duplicate card with that number because once that number is used, it's never used again. That chip inside your new credit card generates a new transaction number every time you use it. It's not going to help you. It's not going to protect you for using your card when it's like on the phone or online.
Okay.
It's only going to help you for card-present transactions when you're
Okay.
shopping, like
All right.
face-to-face in a store.
So online shopping, we're still at the same risks that we are now.
Right. But it's a step. It's a step up in the right direction.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Okay. Well, I guess I'll be contacting that provider, asking if I can get a card without a strip on it.
You know, and that's really good advice too. So if you don't have a smart chip card, it could be that your credit card processor or your issuer is waiting until your card expires before they send you one. They're phasing them in, I think, as cards expire. It also opens the door for certain scams, you know that, like beware of emails that say, we're going to send you a new technology card or a smart card. All you have to do is confirm your information, call us and give us your credit card number to confirm it's really you, and that's just a scammer. So be wary. With all things that are in the news, all technology, scammers are going to try and capitalize on that confusion.
Sure.
And so, if you get something kind of suspicious like that, best to just call your bank or your credit card issuer and make sure that it's the real deal. Yeah,
well, and during the holidays, when people have so many things on their mind and so many things to do, and a lot of shopping to do, in many cases, you know, we don't necessarily think about all this stuff, and it's easy to be swept up in the spirit of the season, if you will, and not be thinking as clearly as we would otherwise.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I mean, the frenzy of Black Friday, and people are
Yeah.
fighting over
Oh, yeah.
TVs, and you just, you know, pay for it without thinking because you're so happy you got that cheap TV.
It'll
So-
cost you in the long run.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
be careful.
But really, again, credit cards, you know, are only making you liable for X amount, I think. But so maybe the advice then we should be telling folks is contact your own credit card companies to get the smart chip cards. Mm-hmm. You know?
Absolutely. I mean, it's likely that at least for this holiday season, it's not required because most retailers that I've been to, they're still swiping. But maybe after the holiday season, when things die down a little bit, if you're really concerned, you don't think you can wait, give your credit card issuer a call.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what other credit cards, you know, that I have that have gotten the smart chips. I think Chase might already have them out there.
Okay.
But not a whole lot really have
Yeah.
that I'm dealing with.
I think we're a little behind the times. I think if you went to a European country or something, they're pretty already set with the new. They're called EMV cards: Europay, Mastercard, and Visa. Because those are the three companies that have spearheaded this technology. So I think Europay has really set everybody up in Europe they're way ahead of us. So
They always are, with everything. Okay, anything more on the smart chip cards then?
I don't think so. We're looking forward to it. I think it'll be, we'll definitely see a lot less fraud now that we're getting this new technology. And I think once the confusion passes and, there's a learning curve, of course, I think it'll be a good thing.
Sure. Now, does the Better Business Bureau have something on their website about the smart chip cards, or no? Because I know you guys are so good about getting information out there.
Yeah. I think a great place to start is if you go to our website, which is bbb.org. The first thing you have to do,
putting that up here.
Okay, is enter your zip code to make sure that you go to the Wisconsin website. There's a lot of information on a tab that says Get Consumer Help. We can talk about all the stuff that's on there too, because there's a lot.
Sure. Yeah. Let's get through this and then see if we have.
But for tips and things like that, when it comes to EMV, smart cards, I would look there. That's a great place to start.
Okay, great. So people are going to be starting to shop a week after, or a day after
Some of us
things.
have already started.
Yes, yes. But most of them who are really looking for those Black Friday deals, they're going to start a week from tomorrow as we tape this now. And so they need to be aware of so much in the way of scams for the holidays.
There are a lot. I mean, we've already talked about a couple of them. That delivery scam, whether there's a problem with your delivery, that's really prevalent, and it hits a lot this time of year. So if you get an email from somebody who claims to be FedEx or UPS, the post office, and it says that there's a problem with your delivery. We tried to deliver something to you, and we had a problem. Click on here for the tracking number or download this claim form, something like that. That's a sign that there's probably, that's an imposter email, and they're asking you to download some kind of virus or something to your computer, so don't do that. Same thing for those cute e-cards that we get, if you're not expecting one or you don't recognize the sender, be careful about opening those up as well, because we've known that a lot of those contain viruses as well. We also see a lot of those those relative in distress call emails. I don't know if you've ever gotten one.
I've seen them.
I've had them
seen
too,
them.
where you suddenly get this email from a friend that seems so out of the blue, but they're shopping or they're out of the country on some kind of holiday vacation. They lost their passport, they've been robbed, they need to pay their hotel bill, their airline tickets are stolen. Can you please wire them some money? So that explains, why you'd have to wire money out of the country because of this supposed trip. What has happened, likely, is that a hacker has gotten into your friend's email and started sending this fraudulent email to all of the people in the contact list. So if you get something like that, give your friend a call and say, are you really out of the country? Did you really, confirm that it's legitimate? And oftentimes it isn't. But we see a lot of those in this time of year. And then another thing that you might be familiar with too, but pops up everywhere on social media, text messages. You won a gift card, a $100 Walmart gift card or something like that. People are all excited about that because they think it's going to be a little extra shopping money. But those two, you'll click on it and then they'll say, either you need to pay us, like $5 for the shipping fee, and then we'll ship you the Walmart gift card. So then they steal your credit card number. They start,
and they steal $5.
They start charging things on your credit card number, and you never get your gift card. So that we should file that under the too good to be true category, because you just don't randomly win a gift like that without entering something. So,
with all these bad things out there, and all the really scary stuff that can happen to our identity or our hard-earned money and that kind of thing, it's a wonder that we're all not a bunch of Scrooges at this time of year. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But somehow we manage to rise above and have happy holidays. So, okay. So bogus gift cards.
Yeah.
That's a new one. I hadn't heard of that before.
Well, there's a couple of ways that people use gift cards as scammers. So, when you go into the grocery store and you see all the gift cards hanging on a rack, what scammers have done in the past is they'll look for cards where the PIN number is exposed. And then they will take a picture of it, take a picture of the number on the card. And they'll take a picture of the back of the card that has the customer service number on it. And then they'll put it back on the rack, and they'll wait and wait for somebody to buy that card. And when they load money on it, then they're going to steal that money. And the way that they know that it's been activated is they keep calling that customer service number to check the balance. So they'll take a picture, they'll hang it back on the card, they'll keep calling the customer service number to check the balance, waiting for the card to be legitimately purchased, and then they'll steal that balance.
And how do they steal it?
Well, because they know the number.
Right.
So, and they know the PIN number because it's exposed. So once they have that, they can just go online shopping.
Oh, okay.
With your gift card.
I guess I don't know. I've never taken anything right from the front like that.
Yeah.
So I guess this is a good reason not to.
Well, so when you're buying a gift card,
not.
I mean, gift cards are great gifts. Who wouldn't love a gift card? But just if you be careful and selective about what you purchase, most gift cards will have that PIN number covered up or something. But if you see that it's been tampered with, I mean, inspect it. Give it a good once over to make sure that it hasn't been tampered with and that PIN number hasn't been exposed, and you should be fine. But
okay. So the PIN number should not be exposed.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, and be careful too. I mean, you can go to Craigslist or Amazon and buy somebody's, gift card that they didn't want, so they're putting it online. Be careful of those as well. It's kind of buyer beware, because you could be getting a worthless gift card and you just don't know. So
more things to worry about, Susan. More things to worry about.
Absolutely.
But there are legitimate gift cards, and we should probably talk about those because sometimes they come with cautionary tales.
Yeah,
So
just be aware that they may have fees associated with them, either that the giver has to pay a fee in order to, purchase that. So if you purchase a $100 gift card, it might cost you, $115 or something like that. There might be inactivity fees associated with it, where they deduct from the balance if you don't use it. Or if they give you a gift card or a gift certificate for a place that goes out of business, that gift card is useless. So my advice to recipients of gift cards is make sure you use it, as soon as possible, just to avoid it getting lost, getting stolen, having inactivity fees, or having that retailer go out of business.
If there are any of those fees attached to the card, Susan, should it say that somewhere on the card?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't say that, then you're probably okay using it whenever. Like, I'm thinking if someone gives, and someone did do this one time for Christmas, a gift certificate to a golf course. Well, you can't golf in Wisconsin during the winter, and even early spring you really can't. About the earliest you can start golfing is usually April or May, and so if it doesn't say anywhere that there's an expiration date, then you're safe. Probably. Maybe. Give me something.
No, there are rules. There are rules about expiration dates. I'd have to, a good place to find that information is probably Federal Trade Commission, because I know that there are rules about that card. And I want to say yes, but without checking first, I don't think I will.
Okay. But on a certificate that's issued by a local merchant or something, if there's nothing on there, then you're probably okay?
Yes, unless the business it goes out of business.
Yeah, unless they
And
go out of
then
business.
it's worthless.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Okay. So what else? What else do we have to worry about this holiday shopping season?
I think that's pretty good for shopping. But another thing that people like to do this time of year is give to their favorite charity. And so you're probably going to be getting a lot of requests now for for you to make donations to your favorite charity. Some of those requests are going to be from perfectly legitimate charities. Some might be requests from charities that are well-meaning but maybe not necessarily well-run, and others are going to be flat-out scams. So we just at the Better Business Bureau like to caution people that you should do your due diligence and research on a charity before you give, much like you should whenever you buy something. Do your research on a company. So be wary of the requests, the phone calls that will come, and there'll be extreme pressure for you to donate tonight. It has to be, we have to do this tonight. Because any legitimate charity would welcome your gift anytime, whether it's today.
Sure. And in any amount.
Yeah, so take the time to ask them to send you some more information. If you're unfamiliar with the organization, they should be happy to do that. Definitely check out that charity with the Better Business Bureau. We have an affiliate called the Wise Giving Alliance. And so the Wise Giving Alliance reviews charities much like the Better Business Bureau reviews businesses on different standards, of course. We have 20 standards of charity accountability. They address issues such as governance, efficiency with funds, fiscal responsibility, transparency. So you can go to the Better Business Bureau's website or the Wise Giving Alliance's website, which is give.org, and type in the name of the charity, and we ought to be able to tell you whether or not this charity meets our Wise Giving standards. And if they don't, we'll tell you which standard they lapsed on.
Okay.
But for example, one of the standards is that a minimum of 65% of all the dollars collected in donations must go to the actual mission. A maximum of 35% should go to administrative costs like salaries, fundraising expenses,
Sure.
overhead, things like that. Now, most reputable charities do much better than that. But that's just one of the standards. So check them out with the Better Business Bureau, or ask the person on the phone, are you a professional fundraiser? How much of these donations are going to go to the actual mission? Things
Okay.
like that.
And how often does give.org or, the Wise Giving Alliance, how often do they update their lists? Because what if there's, we hear all the time about new nonprofit organizations beginning, and obviously nonprofits work off donations. That's how they survive. what is the criteria for getting into the Wise Giving Alliance publication or website?
It's absolutely free for the charity. They have to fill out a long questionnaire and be very transparent about their organization. So it's not an easy process. It's going to take them some time. So some charities, they may be brand new, or maybe more of a local, smaller charity that we're not aware of, and maybe they won't have a report on give.org. But if they are a charity who has chosen not to disclose this information, we will note that on their report, that they chose not to disclose that information. And that might be a red flag as well, that, you know, this charity isn't being very transparent about their finances, things like that. And so maybe you want to choose another one. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe they are just so brand new that they aren't even aware of this.
Possibly.
You know, but, you know, make sure that you're aware of them and you've been aware of them for a little while, you know, I would think.
Yeah, and I mean, give.org is really just one resource. There are plenty of other online resources that can help you. Charity Navigator is one of them. You want to check maybe with the IRS to make sure that it's a tax-exempt organization, but give.org is definitely a good place to start.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
All right. I need to look at my list here. Wise Giving, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and speaking of giving, December 1st is also Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday.
And that's something rarely, I mean, it's I think maybe in its third or fourth year this year. It's kind of new.
We've got a lot of shopping holidays coming up, and giving holidays. There's Black Friday, there's Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, and Giving Tuesday. Now, I don't know about Wednesday yet, but
give them time. They'll come up with something. Yeah. There's so much to think about when it comes to all those different days, and you know, you try and do a little something for each, because they're all important. I'm not saying Black Friday is important. I sleep on Black Friday, and I watch the Macy's parade, and you know, well, that's on Thursday, but I mean, I do other things. I don't go shopping on Friday. I don't like to go shopping anytime, and I do the online shopping thing. And, you know, I just don't want to fight with anything. I don't want to fight with the traffic, and I don't want to fight with the people and the potential for weather, and so...
And you know,
I sleep in, and I worry about shopping some other time of day.
It might be worth mentioning, too, that Black Friday isn't necessarily going to give you the lowest price of the season. So there may not be a reason for you to risk, you know, life and limb to go out on Black Friday. In most cases, that will be the lowest, or there's doorbusters to get you in the door.
Yeah.
But if you're not going for one of those doorbusters, their prices might actually be lower later in the season as we get closer to Christmas. So just something to keep in mind.
Good food for thought. I want to talk about you know, while we're talking about scams and things like that, I want to talk about the Rose Bowl and the Rose Bowl tickets and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know in years past, you know, people who from Wisconsin who have wanted to go and watch the Badgers and so forth, you know, they've run into some scams, and they've run into scalping situations and stuff like that. So can we talk about that for a little bit, and some things that people should be on guard of for if they are going to the Rose Bowl?
Rose Bowl, Super Bowl, World Series, I mean, any big kind of event, and I sure hope that we do make it to the Rose Bowl or the Super Bowl. At this point, I'm not so sure, but
the jury is out.
Yes, we hear about that all the time, that people buy these packages thinking that they include tickets to the game and all these different amenities, and then they show up at the event and lo and behold, it didn't include tickets, things like that. I think the bottom line is that this can be avoided, or you can work to protect yourself if you make sure that you use a reputable ticket broker. There's an organization of ticket brokers that you can make sure that they're affiliated with. You can check out their record with the Better Business Bureau. We ought to be able to tell you about past complaints that they might have had, whether or not they are licensed, if they're in a business that or in an industry that requires licensing, how many complaints they've had, customer reviews, and a rating, an A+ through F rating. So if you do your research, I mean, people are going to spend thousands of dollars on these ticket packages.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that you do your due diligence again and make sure you're buying a reputable ticket.
Okay. And I've also heard in years past where people have bought tickets, and again, they didn't use some kind of a ticket broker that was a legitimate one, and they were fake tickets.
Bought them on Craigslist or online somewhere.
Yep.
That's really a dangerous place, you know, to be doing a lot of transactions. I know people who have had really great success buying and selling things on Craigslist, and others who have not. You know, if you answer an ad on Craigslist to buy something that's really expensive and you arrange to meet that seller someplace, well, that person may know, I mean, he may or may not be selling the item, but one thing he does know is that you're carrying a large amount of cash. Mm-hmm. So people have been known to, you know, put something on Craigslist for big price, and then when the buyer showed up to pick up the item, he was robbed. He or she was robbed. So you can have success on Craigslist, but you have to take precautions. A good thing to do is meet that buyer or seller in the police department lobby. I've heard that before. That's, I think, a great piece of advice.
Sure.
So, but it's kind of a buyer beware. I mean, be careful of what you're... There are red flags on Craigslist as well, like if somebody agrees to pay over the amount or agrees to buy the item sight unseen. My husband was selling a boat on Craigslist and he got an email from somebody in London who wanted to buy his, you know, little fishing boat. I thought, don't they sell boats in London? Why does he need to come to Wisconsin and buy a boat? Well, he wanted us to ship the boat over to London, and he was going to send us the full asking price plus some extra money to pay a shipper. And I knew that it was a total scam. I didn't fall for it. But what would have happened is that we would have deposited the money order or the check or whatever and withdrawn some money to pay this shipper, and the check would have bounced, and then we would have been out that money. So those are classic overpayment scams. We see them all the time on Craigslist. Happens with, you know, employment ads too. With rentals, where yes, I'll pay the deposit, but I'm out of the country, so I'm going to send you, you know, the deposit plus the first month's rent, but could you withdraw some money and send it back to me? So those are overpayment scams. If anybody sends you a check for over the amount, you should have alarm bells going off in your head.
Well, you know, and that can happen on Facebook too.
Yeah.
You know, we had an iPad maybe 3 years or so ago, and had advertised it on Facebook just amongst our friends, but somehow it got circulated outside the friends circle. Mm-hmm. And before I knew it, we're getting emails exactly what you were just saying. Mm-hmm. You know, oh, we want this, and we'll do this, and we'll do that, and I just deleted them, and one was very persistent, and then I just blocked it because I thought, this is silliness. Wherever you're calling from, wherever you're sending us things from, you know, you must have iPads there. And why in the world would you pay $1,000 or more for an iPad that you could buy for less, brand new, wherever you are? I mean, this is a common sense kind of thing.
It defies common sense.
Yeah.
But honestly, some people still fall for it. Otherwise, the scammers wouldn't be doing it.
I
so
guess.
That's sad, but it is true.
Yeah.
There's a really good tool that I also want to mention that's kind of new that the Better Business Bureau has just created. It's an online tool, and we call it Scam Tracker.
Okay.
So I really want to get the word out to your viewers, but there's if you go to bbb.org/scam tracker, This is an online tool where if you get some kind of scam, whether it's a Facebook or a Craigslist scam or suspicious email or phone call, knock on the door, anything like that, you can report it to the scam tracker. You enter your name if you are inclined to, you don't have to, details about the scam, whether or not you lost money, and then you enter your zip code. So it plots the scams on a map. So that anybody who is researching whether or not this particular phone call they got is a scam, they can go to the scam tracker and they can look what's happening in their neighborhood. You can drill down. It's a map of the United States with all the scam reports plotted on a map. You can drill down to your city, your neighborhood, your zip code to see, so if somebody's knocking on my door offering this magazine deal or this asphalt repaving, I'm going to go here and see if people are reporting the same thing in my neighborhood. And hopefully that will save a lot of people from being scammed. Now, we created this because oftentimes people call the Better Business Bureau to report something. And they'll say, I know it's a scam. I just want to tell the Better Business Bureau about it. I just want to report the phone number or something like that. Now, this is a fraudster, a thief, perpetrating this scam. It's not a legitimate business. So in the past, there hasn't been a whole lot that the Better Business Bureau could do about it. Because if you wanted to file a complaint, it had to be against a business. It couldn't be against an individual or a fraudster or something like that. So we didn't know what we could do with this information. So now there's a new tool that you can actually go and file out an online form, and you can help your neighbors. You can help people protect themselves from these same scams.
Okay.
So we're hoping that law enforcement uses it because oftentimes, law enforcement can't do anything about it either. They're being perpetrated by people out of the country, something like that. So we're really hoping that consumers will help us populate this website, that police will push people, to fill out this online form, so that in the end we can all be better prepared and better protected.
Sure. So bbb.org/scam tracker.
Yes.
All one word.
Yes.
We've got a few minutes left here, and I want to talk about just some general type things, unless there was anything else related to the holidays coming up or shopping or anything. It sounds like the only thing we're safe doing is eating and having some favorite beverage. Those things are the only
That sounds like a good holiday to me, actually.
And going to church, of course.
Yes. I think that we've been very creative. We've been very thorough, I should say, about what we talked about. I would just recommend that, give the Better Business Bureau a call, 920-734-4352, or go to bbb.org. Check out that company. If you get something that looks a little suspicious or a little sketchy to you, give the Better Business Bureau a call or come to our website and maybe we'll be able to help you.
Okay, and what was that number again, Susan?
920-734-4352.
Okay, great. Thank you. So one question that I did have from someone is they worked as an independent contractor doing mystery shopping, okay? Something that is perfectly legitimate and, a person can make some decent money doing that. This was with a company that she'd not worked for in the past. She did $164 or $162 worth of business or of shops for this company, and they never paid her. They were going to pay her with PayPal, and never did. She kept asking. They kept saying, "Oh, we'll take care of this. We'll take care of this," and they never did. So she said, "Well, listen, I'm going to, there are websites out there where mystery shoppers and other self-employed contractors, talk about companies that aren't so legitimate and things like that." She said, "I'm going to put the word out there on you guys." And they said, "We are not a scam. Give us an opportunity to pay." And, we fully intend to pay, but they never did. So I said, "Stop fooling around with these people, Take them to small claims court and be done with it. I mean, you know, they're a company, I think out in Arizona,
Okay.
Scottsdale, if I'm not mistaken. And I said, just file a lawsuit against them and be done with it, you
Yeah.
know? It costs maybe $97 to file the suit in small claims court and be done with it. Can she also report them to the Better Business Bureau?
Well, we generally don't take disputes between employees and employers, but this might be a little bit different of a situation.
Because she's technically a self-employed person, being independent contractor.
Yes. So I would recommend that she try. She can always give it a shot. It's free. It might save her that $100 that she needs to file a small claims. But mystery shopping is such a weird category because it seems that the scammers are always, if they're trying to, you know, get a target or something, the ploy that they always use is sign up to be a mystery shopper.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, when you say mystery shopper, then my antenna kind of starts. So, but you know that it's a legitimate company, that it's not a scammer, that, I mean, is the $162 that she got, is it being reimbursed for the items that she bought?
No, it's the hourly, or
Okay,
it's
her
the
hourly
report.
Okay.
You know, it's the fee that they were willing to pay
Okay.
for the reports that she did
Okay.
on shopping at these various operations. And you know, in earlier years, I've done some mystery shopping too, and it's always been a lot of fun. And you know, you get to maybe go to the movies for free, and you know, it doesn't pay a whole lot per shop, but it can add up. And you know, I mean, if you can make $15 for sitting in the movies
Yeah.
and basically buying some concessions and writing down what they say to you and that kind of thing, and tell them how clean the bathrooms are and that kind of thing. I mean, you know, it's worth maybe 10 minutes worth of work.
Sure. It's a great work-at-home job, but just be careful
Yeah.
because some of the jobs that advertise for mystery shopping are not legitimate. So.
Okay. And how do you find out if they are or if they aren't, other
Well-
than through these websites that this group of mystery shoppers uses?
Yeah, there is a mystery shopping organization, like a trade association, so I would make sure that they're a member of that. There's a website that I can't recall at the time, but check that out. And I'd say only use mystery shopping organizations. If you're going to be a subcontractor or something, only work with people that are in that association. So,
That's
you know.
that's a good one.
yeah, because it is a category that is fraught with, you know, work-at-home type scams. So,
What other work-at-home type scams are there?
oh.
We don't have time for it, right?
You know, work at home, I don't think that, I don't know of really any that work out like they're supposed to work out, that actually pay what they promise are going to pay. But we get them all the time where, you know, you see something on a stop sign or something, make $1,200 a month, you know, no experience, no education, you know, you don't have to work long hours. You just know that those are too good to be true. So, but there's envelope stuffing, where really the scam is that you answered the ad in the classified ads for a work-at-home job that involves envelope stuffing, and what you're really doing is stuffing envelopes to place ads for more classified ads in other weekly organizations. So it's sort of like a pyramid scheme almost.
Oh, jeez.
So, I mean, I guess I can't really say that I know of any work-at-home jobs that are really legitimate or that are going to pay what they say they're going to pay.
Yeah.
So just be careful.
I have come across some, and of course I work from home, but I work for, you know, publications and things like that where I'm writing for them. But, you know, even then you have to be careful. And I usually recommend to people, because they say, oh, you're so lucky you get to stay at home and work. And yeah, I feel very blessed and very fortunate. But, you know, not everyone's a writer. So I just say, look, if you want to find legitimate work-at-home opportunities, go to a website called About about.com.
Okay.
And I would recommend that to you. If that's what you're wanting to do, try to go to about.com and see what they say about work-at-home opportunities, and see what they say is not a legitimate place. You know, even as a writer, you kind of have to be aware of some of these places, because, you know, not all of them pay,
Yeah.
and they might expect a lot more than just writing, so you have to be careful with that too. We are almost out of time. Anything real short that you want to talk about?
We're getting a lot of calls, handfuls of calls every day, from people who are getting calls from debt collectors. And they
okay.
say, you know, I don't owe any debt, I don't know what you're talking about. So be careful of those high-pressure debt collectors. It's very possible that it's a scam, so ask for written documentation of the debt that you owe before you pay them. But if they say, we're going to arrest you, we're going to come to your place of work, that's probably a scam, because legitimate debt collectors won't do that. That's in fact illegal.
I was going to say, I don't even think they can.
Yeah, illegal. So that's, you know, a red flag right there, that it's not a real debt collector calling you. Sometimes they'll say that it's the IRS calling, and that you need to pay up right away, and that's just not how the IRS operates. If you really owe back taxes, you know, your first contact with the IRS isn't going to be a phone call. It's going to be a certified letter, something like that. So, but that's really what we're getting a lot of phone calls at the BBB office of late, is really aggressive debt collectors, or people pretending to be a debt collector when they're really not. So you have rights, and if you need to know those rights, you can call the Better Business Bureau.
Okay, excellent. And I was just thinking of something, and it totally left my brain. So I don't really know what I was going to say. But, oh, I know, and I don't think we have really time to get into this. There was some kind of a scam website selling puppies.
Yes.
What was the deal there?
Well, that's kind of something that happens around Christmas too, because a lot of people want to give puppies for Christmas presents for their kids. And so it's kind of like that overpayment scam, where you, you know, you go and you think you're purchasing a puppy, but you need to pay more than just the asking price because it needs shots, or all of a sudden the puppy that they were going to send you is sick. So there's, you know, there's just, they keep piling on extra fees and extra costs, and then there's no puppy. So be careful. If a puppy is on your child's Christmas list, it's better to go to a local place where you can see the animal before you purchase it, because when you buy online, you're really putting yourself at risk for a lot of fraud.
Sure. Yeah. If you're going to get any kind of an animal for the holiday season or any other time, you know, it's best to just go to a local rescue, a rescue within your state, a local animal shelter, whatever. Go to a legitimate site and do it that way.
Yeah.
So, all right, we are out of time.
Well, I thank you so much for having me again.
Oh yeah,
It's
it
been a
was
pleasure.
great, and what the audience doesn't know is that you brought us all cookies tonight, so that was wonderful, not necessary, but a delightful treat for all of us, so
Well,
thank you very much. And, you know, we'll have you on again when it gets to be around, like, the summer.
Yeah.
And
because we can talk about all those summer
wonderful
things.
summer scams.
Because everybody's going to be hiring landscapers and painting contractors,
Yep.
and there are definitely things that they need to know about that as well.
Great. So we'll do that. But I will just say thank you, as always, and happy Thanksgiving, and Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. And
Thank you, and you as well.
Thank you, and we'll see you in the summer.
Okay.
So that's going to do it for us, folks. We'll see you next time. Until then, have a very happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time. Take good care. Keep your eye on us. We've got Our Eye on Oshkosh. Bye.